Hey everyone, it's Ellen and welcome to my channel. Do you think this is acrylic? No, it's gouache. Today's Floral Friday is painting roses in gouache. I know everyone's been asking about gouache, so here's a more gouache tutorial for you. This is super simple, and I show you how I paint this with just one brush. Well, I might have used a small one at the end, but one 3/4 inch flat wash brush. Really simple, sweet roses in gouache. Just 5 colors, also really simple step-by-step tutorial. This is not something you need talent for. It's just practice, and execution. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Let me know if you like gouache, if you want to see more tutorials on gouache. Gouache is so versatile. I'll show you how versatile it is in this tutorial. Also, check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials, and a live stream on the top tier once a month for me. It's just a place people go and support my channel. I appreciate so much. You can check it out right here, boop, in a second. So without further ado, let's get painting. All right, so let's go over my supplies for this tutorial. Today, I'm actually using cheap paper, cheaper than the Arches. This is the Strathmore watercolor block, cold press block. This is 9 by 12. You can get this any store, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. So it's a lot cheaper than a watercolor block. It will achieve what we're looking for. I'm using, this is a paper palette. You see these in my videos and acrylic videos. You can put I wouldn't put watercolor on here, but you can put gouache on here. You can put acrylic on here, oils on here. We'll be using just one brush, the Princeton Velvet Touch 3/4 inch wash. If you don't have the Princeton one, just get a nice, synthetic soft brush that's 3/4 inch. And the colors, yellow ochre, permanent yellow deep, yellow ochre, primary magenta, ultramarine deep, black, and white. That's it for this tutorial for gouache. So, if you don't have this particular magenta, maybe you have a red, but if you have a yellow, you don't need to have yellow ochre. Maybe you can just mix up the colors to kind of make it look like yellow ochre. But red, obviously black and white you would need. And then you need a blue. So you don't have to go out and buy a ton of colors to do this. So we're going to start by taking this, and I have paper towels here, and I'll have a paper towel often in my hand, like trying to wipe paint and use paint and manipulate paint. So this is like a practice. This is nothing like you need a trace for. This is what you need to do is start to practice using your paintbrushes, how to hold them. Now someone would say, you can't do roses because they're soft, round with a flat wash brush. Yes, you can, and I'll show you. And gouache roses, to be in fact. And you should try and play with this with watercolor too. I think it can go both ways. Because remember, gouache, I'm going to water it down kind of like watercolor, but then I'm going to put opaque color on top. So I'm going to grab some water on my brush. I'm going to mix this yellow ochre, maybe a little yellow in here. I want to make a background color. And that's too bright. I'm going to grab more water. Maybe I'll grab a little of the black. Put that in. It's like a nice deeper, almost like a brown color. Grab a little more yellow ochre. And so we're going to water this down and be really light. Just like watercolor. See, now you can see that. I'm going to add more water to that. It's a little brighter than I wanted, so maybe I want it a little bit duller, but add a little more black. Grab a little more black in there. Yeah. A little more brown. You see, I just grabbed a little black, and I'm watering it down like watercolor. This is gouache, but check it out. You can treat it like watercolor. Like I told you, very versatile. And that's what I like about it. There's so many brands of gouache, so if you don't want to spend money on an expensive brand, you try out a cheaper brand. So just going to put down this little simple wash in the background. And now it's going to dry fairly fast, like watercolor. And I'm not going to wait for it to dry. I'm just going to go play with it on top. All right, now I'm going to mix up some deep reddish colors. So I've got this primary magenta, but I'm going to add a little yellow to that. See, just grab a little yellow. It's like an orangey red. Nice deep color here. Now I gotta figure out where you want to put roses. You can do it in triangle shape. You can do it a bunch of different ways. I think I might just do 3, okay? So I'll have like one over here, one here, one here. I'm gonna start by just, roses are circular, like a round shape, right? Think of a round bowl or something. So here we go. Just gonna go put this in a round shape like this. Where I'm gonna put that rose. Maybe I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. I'm gonna add a little black to that. See? Just a little bit darker. I could even add a little more of this yellow ochre. So there's the one. I want to look a little bit deeper, so I'm gonna add a little black in the little section just over here. I'll put one there. I'll put another one here, and the rose here. So 3 circles, fairly good amount apart. I wouldn't put them super far apart, but just how we do it. And now we're going to start to build the bowl around the circle here, right? I did want to add, I did want to put some like yellow kind of out here a little bit. I would have done the yellow first and then the red, but now I'm just going to play around with adding the yellow. So you might want to do the yellow and then add the red in the middle. But we can just kind of work with this. Okay. I'm adding a little yellow, making it a little bigger out here. See, making this a little, looks like a bullseye. All right. Now we're going to take this magenta and maybe a little yellow. So it's more of like an orangey red. Maybe magenta. Going to start to add white. Make it a little pinky. Right? And this one adds the white. It looks a little dull brown. I want more pink. So I'm adding more magenta. Depends on how bright you want it. Right? I'm going to add more white. Now you see the pink color. A little more white. And more white. See, with gouache, like acrylics, you add the white to lighten it. So here, we got the bowl. Now you're going to start to peel out the petals, right? You're going to do like a swash like that. Up here, and then under here. Just these movements like that. I might take off some paint. And then you do another one. See, I'm twisting the brush out here. So you're kind of just going around this bowl. Down under here. I did want to make another mark here. I'm going to grab this red. A little black. And put it under here. Under that yellow. Right under here. See? Grab a little more black. Yellow. Kind of mix up the same red we had before. So you got the center, you got it under. You're leaving a space in between. Maybe put a little couple out here. See, I'm just making little marks out here, the dark red. So in between that dark red and the other dark red, we're going to start to build some petals. Take off my paint. With this light pink, I'm going to add some more white. See? We can go back in and we could add, what's the beauty of gouache, you can go back in and add colors that if you didn't make it work for you, you can fix it. So I'm adding some more white again. See? Covering up some of that red, deep red. I could add a little yellow to this color. Make it more of a blush tone. We can still play with it by adding white. And see, I'm adding more white to make it lighter. And see how I'm just using the brush kind of like this, twisting it. And I can grab a little more white, make that part really light. See how it's kind of building now? And then white here. I'm going to be just building this rose out. Now, if those points seem too pointy, you can take a little water on your finger, kind of soften it. See, like that. Because they're water-based and not that toxic, they're not going to hurt you. Use your finger, soften it. Right? I'll add a little white. Here. See, I'm just tapping it You can use your finger kind of while it's still damp. You can even grab white with your finger. See, I'm grabbing it with my finger. It's just going to soften those petals. You didn't know you could paint with your finger, did you? Look how much softer that got. Alright, so we're going to still keep playing with this one here. Just doing these movements. A little one out here. Can make a bigger one kind of hanging downward. And then again, you can just take your finger, kind of soften that edge. Right? Grab a little more white for that inside one. And here. So we're just building this. And this one would have the pink. And again, you can just take your finger, kind of soften those petals. Add the pink out here. Look at that. It's getting there, right? It's all on how you execute. The bigger the brush, the softer that rose is going to be. So now, same thing here. We're going to go out and just kind of on its side more. Going to add more of these petals up here, kind of drooping over that center. See that? Swoop. The different roses. A little water right there. Paper towel close by with the hand. So you're moving the brush. So it is a flat wash brush. Let me make this a little bit darker. I might have to add more paint. And some pink, some yellow to this one. Make this one a little more blush tone. Change some of them up. And you can go back in and add that crest kind of color in there. See, I'm building this one. More blush. Add some white. I do want the white kind of out here more this time. See, I'm grabbing that white, holding the brush on its side. You can soften it with your finger. Grabbing more white. Now you can try and do this with acrylic. I would use like a non-toxic acrylic. If you are afraid to have it on your fingers, I mean, you can always just wear gloves. Try and do that. Now I'm mixing up this color in here. Just going in here and adding some yellow. Again, soften. Right? Now at this point I'll have to clean off my brush and I'll have to add some more white to my palette. I lost some magenta, so I'll grab some more magenta. We're going to start playing with leaves. We'll go back to the rose again, by the way. We're not done with that rose. So let's play with some leaves. I love using this kind of brush for leaves. Now because we're using ultramarine blue, here we go, ultramarine blue. You can use yellow ochre. You get that really kind of dark brown green. You can add the bright yellow. It's even kind of like a olivey green. Get more of an old-fashioned kind of rose green. The more blue you add, the deeper it gets, right? Now we're going to play around with doing leaves. You can do the stem by holding it on its side, right? On the chisel side. You can just build out the stems and add some stems out here. We might add some roses out here. See, just holding it on its side. And then here, sorry guys, tap a little excess if it's really loose. Just see how I just twist that brush. I'm just making this really kind of loose. I'm making the paint a little thicker, adding some more blue, getting it a little dark. You want the contrast next to that rose. See, just kind of twist it. This wasn't really difficult. You're twisting that brush. And it makes these nice chisel kind of like lines, which I like. You can also soften it. Just take your finger while it's still damp. You can add a little more yellow if you want to make it brighter. Get this brighter green. Add a little color in there. Play with some leaves out here. See here, I'll top off my paper towel, and I'll just doodad, tap, kind of paint out here, adding leaves. You can grab the water, tap it on the paper towel, soften it, add some water. You can put your finger in the water and soften those leaves. Another trick is to grab paper towel, kind of remove some of that paint. Look at that, soften that right up. So here I'm going to play around with just adding some leaves. I might use my finger. Like I said, I'm showing you how I move my finger in here just to soften the color. I might go back and grab blue and that yellow. So you just do that twisty movement. And you get those pointy little rows under the sepal, you know, like that whole area. Again, you can have this coming down. You can have another one coming off here. I love the flat wash brush because of the chisel. So then we can just play around with that. Now that we have that going, you can add some leaves to those stems. So we might want to put out here, maybe we put out like a little bud rose. So I would just clean off our brush. Let me go back with magenta. You can get it brighter too. See how bright that is? And just hold it on its side, just push down like this, and you grab some more magenta, darker magenta. So you're grabbing the dark color on the bottom. So we can make some little bud ones over here. Just like that. And a little white. Good. All this color is mixed in here. And by the way, you can activate them easily just by adding water. Go a little yellow. So you might add a little white to the side. Put a little white, little lighter one here. And I'll grab white on the edge of my brush. I'm just tapping it on the side. Tap, 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 tap. Just really simple little taps. Now we have the white back again. We can go in here and add. See, it might have to activate this color here by adding a little water. Going back over the rose again. A couple of passes. See? Adding in those light pale even more. Those pale petals. Soften it with your finger. Put it back over here. Just like in a round. See how I'm just doing the round movement here. I'm going to add some more white to that one. You can go take the chisel of the brush, the edge of it, grab that bright yellow, little yellow ochre. We could just put some little yellow, like the little inside. That one got a little too messed up. Coming from the inside, just see I'm just tapping that inside. Those little stamens are inside there. The flower. See that? Now here I'm feeling like just this chisel part in the middle. I'm gonna add that. Needs to soften a bit between the light color or not. So I might go around and play around with adding some dark over here. Maybe a little yellow, a little green kind of into the flower. Reflecting. right? Just a little bit of green touch. Again. Now it gets a little tight up in here and I want to soften it. I'm going to clean my brush with some water. And this is where we can play with it. You just take the water and kind of push the color around. Just a little bit of water on your brush. See? Just soften. I'm just going like this kind of movement. Just soften that up. And a little white out here. Same thing here. I'm going back in and adding some white. And you can do the same thing with the water. This is just how I would approach this. You know, there's no right and wrong, but this is the way I kind of make some roses. I make them different ways in gouache, but I'm going back and adding in some pink. You know, if I feel like it wasn't soft enough. Now I can go back into the greens here. I added the pink in here. Get the blue and the yellow. And I soften that green. A little white in there. Grab some white. Look at that. It's like a really soft green. Yellowish green. You can play around with adding in this. Get more blue. Greens. I like a variety of greens, and then you can just kind of wisp it. I might go back up here, grab those same yellow and blue, making a darker green again. Put some leaves up here. I'm going to just play around with that. Now, remember how I show you, of course, you want to go up here and add the leaves around the buds. I didn't do that. So I'm just going to take the chisel, just kind of softly stick some green on each side of that bud. You can try and just play around with adding that. And then some leaves. I really want some more darker green here. I might add a little black to this green, the blue green here. See now the contrast of that pretty pink pale rose, and you add that dark leaf. And this is how I would just go about doing a gouache rose. I don't think it took much time. You can play around with adding some more pinks down here. You can do a technique where I talk about it in watercolor. You can do some gouache. So you have those harsh leaves. You can go in and grab some water, and you can kind of just push that. Look at that. See, I'm just kind of pushing the paint. Just grabbing a little water and pushing the paint around and just softening up everything. And you can tap it with a paper towel too. See, kind of mush it around. A little texture. Gives it a little soft, right? We could kind of like what I call erasing the color. Just kind of pushing that out here. It's just a fun technique. It just softens up the painting. It's on a block, so it can kind of handle all the water. It's if a thin piece of paper, it won't be able to do that. See, I'm kind of just erasing it by adding water. I could take the paper towel and go like that. I just want it to be softer. With some hard edges. I just go in and grab a little water. I'm just going over this and kind of like, looks like I'm erasing it. And you can take paper towel and tap out. Look how softer that looks. And then you just really go back in and play around with adding some more white again to your little petals. This is, you know, just play around with that. I'm going to go back in a little, even really white. That one, see how it just came popping right out because it's really white. I'm just going to go take my finger and mush that around. Same thing here. Just going to mush that around. It's just going to pull that rose right out. It's a whole circular kind of, see, we're just kind of going around the bowl. That's what I think about it. A bowl with the petals. I'm going back, taking some white, going back, around each section. I'm just softening up that rose. And one more time. I might want to add a little pink going in here. But these are just little details. But see, you get the basics of it. You're going around the circle. And that's it. And then I would add a little highlights of that little bud over here. It might be a little more difficult on the side to paint the little bud with the big old brush because it's small. But this is a challenge, and we want to challenge you. Put another bud over here. Play around with the buds. Again, same technique. You add the pink, you add the little side leaves. Clean up your brush and add the layers of the white. So this is my little tutorial on gouache roses with a big flat wash brush. You're just holding it on side. You can make it look really pretty, almost like an acrylic painting, but it's not. Right? I get that yellow, a little bit of blue. Highlight some of the little leaves. You can put a little chisel line for the vein. All these things. Oh, that's a little too blue. We play around with these things. Can activate it. See, I'm going to add water. It was dead. Add a little water. Activate. Voila. So, this didn't take long at all. It was under 30 minutes. Again, I might go back in one more pass in this rose right here. I feel like it's just kind of blended too much and you don't see the different petals. So I might have, green. I might have to add a little dark line kind of going in here. You get the spaces in between the petals. Back in here. And then go back over it again with another pass of the white. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope so. It's just a bunch of round. It's all going round and around and around. Going around and around and around. And that's how we do it. So if you have any questions, please leave in the comment section. Tell me if you like to paint with gouache. I'm trying to teach you gouache now, as well as watercolor. I don't know if I'll do acrylic on this channel because I have acrylic on my other channel. Going back in and some more white, see? A little highlight. You see how I went back in? I can soften again with my finger. Put another little petal out here and here. Boom. So thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel. This is this is a practice Friday. I like to do some practices. The little stamen in the middle. If you need to, you grab some of the yellow. It's kind of dyed. You don't see that in there. You really want a little highlight. This is where you might grab a small brush. Okay. In this instance, we use mostly that flat wash brush. But take the white and a little bit of yellow, more white, and you do little dots in here. You can see them. Boom. There's your little inside rose. So mostly it was all flat wash. And we added that. And there you go. So yeah, let me know if you like this. I'm curious to see if you like to play with gouache. I know people kept on asking for more gouache. So I figured roses and gouache on Friday. Floral Friday. And yeah, just take your time with it. Play with the big brush. The big brush is going to make you have the looser kind of style, you know. You're not going to be so tight. And really how I was just doing it was all in a circular motion, and then flip, 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 flip with the leaves, circular motion, building it, adding more white, adding more white. I know you guys can do this. You guys are pretty talented. You know, it's just all in technique. It doesn't really take much talent. I'm not kidding when I say that. You can totally do this. Technique. See, I'm going to go back in and adding this magenta with the yellow ochre. I'm going to put a little dab on the left side of that so it's more highlighted. You know, you can even go back in and grab a little black. Even still, go in here. Just a little dab. See, then they come popping out. All right, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.